I'm going to let you in on a secret that the fitness industry does not want you to know. Every single coach, influencer, program that's being marketed to you is trying to sell you on a unique idea, a unique way of doing things that's different to all of the things you've tried before. In a crowded and saturated marketplace such as fitness in 2026, and with the advent of AI, meaning information is a freely available commodity now, the only way to stand out and the only way to convince somebody that they should work with you is by showing them that your way is different to everything else that they've tried, so that you think, oh, it's not those things I've tried, it's this. Let's use me as an example. I believe that the reason that office-based, sedentary, desk-based midlife guys have not achieved their health goals and their physique goals is simply because the programs, the diets, and the protocols that they have tried have chased an unrealistic level of optimality and perfection that is simply unsustainable. That is what leads to clever, capable, and driven guys who have achieved a lot in the other aspects of their life feeling like they don't have the knowledge, they don't have the motivation, or they don't have the time to actually commit to achieving what they want to with their physique and their health. And that then manifests as waiting for the perfect time to start, procrastination, or endlessly researching for the perfect program, the perfect diet, and everything else online. Again, procrastination. Or it manifests as summoning up these periods of willpower and motivation where you're going to smash it and you go all in. You do that for a few weeks, you get good results, but then you find it's unsustainable and you end up back where you started 3 months later. And my philosophy, my way of overcoming that problem is simply the principle of imperfect consistency. If you build your training and your nutrition around your life, that means you have a process you believe in, you stick to, enjoy. And that is the only way that you're going to succeed. It's about sustainability and it's about taking imperfect action for long enough that you actually normalize the habits of the guy you are trying to become. And then everything else falls into place. But for your attention and your trust, I'm in competition. I'm in competition with guys on Instagram who are posting before and after photos. The before photo is always a guy looking a bit sad with bad lighting, sticking his belly out and looking glum. And then the after photo tends to be a professional photo shoot where he's tanned, greased up in a gym. I'm competing with all those guys online looking for 5 busy professionals or 5 busy dads. And I'm competing with all those guys who are claiming to you that the reason you can't get to where you want to go is because of your hormones. You need a special supplement stack. You need a sciencey sounding training protocol, and you need to be taking regular blood panels. And I get it. This is the zeitgeist at the moment. Testosterone is big business and it's big money. In the era of testosterone replacement therapy, midlife guys now are just much more aware of the role that testosterone and other hormones play on their health, their performance, and their physique. Fitness coaches have massively jumped on this and tried to capitalize on it. You can pay for a quick qualification online that shows you how you can read blood panels, or a lot of them probably just put your results into ChatGPT or Claude and get the highlights that way. And as with most diets, training protocols, and philosophies around health, fitness, wellness, there is a crumb of truth here because testosterone, estrogen, cortisol, dopamine, growth hormone, they do matter. But just like most things on social media and most things online, the idea of taking a hormone optimization program is taking a crumb of truth to the extreme to sell you on the idea that the reason you can't lose fat, gain muscle, and live your best life is because your hormones are out of whack. And therefore, that the solution that you need, the one thing you haven't tried, is blood panels, special supplement stacks, this new training protocol. And if you think about it as a logical, analytical, intelligent person, this taps into your psychological drives. Chances are, as part of your job and your profession, you have to apply logic. You have to think rationally to make decisions. You have to deal with data. So all of this sounds appealing. It sounds like it makes sense. But the thing about driven, desk-based guys is this. You are likely brilliant at analysis and less good at action. So many of the guys that I work with know what they should be doing. In general, they know they need to be training more. They know they need to be moving more. They know they need to be looking after calories and prioritizing protein. There's a gap between the logic of what they should do and the implementation and action of doing it. So the gap in most cases, most guys that I work with, most guys that I engage with online isn't knowledge. It's being able to step into the unknown and be comfortable taking action even when there's uncertainty around it. And that's why the idea of a hormone optimization protocol appeals to the exact same guys that I work with. for the vast majority of midlife guys, you can do all of this without a blood panel and without some special supplement stack. You can reduce chronically elevated cortisol and you can optimize your testosterone levels as well. Do you want to know how? Enough exercise every week. Prioritizing resistance training with enough cardio for heart health and plenty of other movement outside of that. You prioritize your sleep, ideally giving yourself an 8-hour sleep window every night so you can allow yourself the opportunity to get at least 7 hours of quality sleep. You eat a mainly healthy, nutritious whole foods diet, prioritizing controlling your calories and getting enough protein, plenty of fruits and vegetables. You have some sort of stress relieving practice in your life that you commit to regularly, such as mindfulness, journaling, or meditation, which allows you to counteract work and family stress. You prioritize connection with people that you care about. You don't drink too much. You don't smoke cigarettes. You don't spend hours every day on social media. You maintain a low level of body fat and build a bit of muscle. And you prioritize the few supplements that actually matter. I call these the Mind and Matter Method base stack. But start with vitamin D3, omega-3s, zinc, magnesium. If you commit to those priorities for 3 months, your testosterone will increase, your cortisol will reduce, and most importantly, you will feel fucking awesome. And you don't have to spend a penny on a blood test. Of course, you can take blood tests if you want to. Some of my clients do it because they have health markers that they care about or just because they're interested, and that's totally fine. But know this, if you take a blood test and your testosterone level is low or your cortisol is high, and then you start making those kinds of health interventions that I've talked about, your bloods will improve. And you may conclude, oh, it's because of that special hormone optimization program I've been doing. It's because that guy told me I should be taking Tonka Ali and Fedosia agrestis. It's not because of that. It's because you focused on the few science-backed health interventions that actually matter. Like I talked about in Your Smartwatch Sucks, the modern health and wellness industry has turned health into a spreadsheet. And what that creates is data obsession. But ultimately what that is a form of avoiding the difficult truth. The difficult truth is that there is no magic hack. There is no secret sauce. There is only the fundamental science-backed principles of training and nutrition and mindset done consistently over a long enough timeline that will allow you to win. And going back to what I said at the start, that is why the secret ingredient is not the super optimized training and nutrition plan. It's a lifestyle first approach, the concept of imperfect consistency, and using that as the lever that makes this a consistent and sustainable part of your life. There is an obsessive pursuit of marginal gains within the fitness industry. And this is just one example of them. I believe that creates rigidity, stress, and sometimes paralysis as well. All of that costs more than any tiny gain that you might get from it. The guys who look and feel great, who go through life without really worrying too much about nutrition, who don't have to summon up motivation for their training, who maintain a low level of body fat, look lean, toned, and defined, they're not the ones with the best data or the best analytics. They're just the ones who've mastered the basics and repeat them relentlessly. So you can get exactly the same improvements that those hormone optimization programs are selling you on without ever doing a blood panel, without taking a single supplement that you've never heard of. All you've got to do is focus on the basics and work out how you can make them a consistent and sustainable part of your life. And that is exactly what we do within the Mind and Matter method. And by the way, if you do all of those things for 6 months, but you still feel like shit, your libido's tanked, you have no energy, no motivation, and no drive, then maybe it is time to take a blood panel, because they are clues. They are signs that something is out of whack with your body. It could be testosterone, it could be something else. And the only way to know for sure is by taking a blood panel. But just like TRT should be the last intervention after you've exhausted everything else, taking a blood test and trying to optimize your hormones should come after you've applied the basics relentlessly for at least 6 months, because I bet you can sort all of this out without any of that fancy sciencey stuff. All you need to do is train with intensity, focus on the few things that matter when it comes to nutrition, and find a way to normalize these habits as part of your life, which is exactly what we do in Mind and Matter Fitness.